whatever you're gonna do it to your fullest, or try your best to do it to your fullest. People who want to do multiple things at once they should.
All right, we're here in the studio with Mike Sandoval, photographer, artist, vintage reseller. Mike, thanks for being here, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome to Indie LA.
Yeah, so I kind of just want to get right into it, man. How did you get into photography? I noticed a lot of your stuff is like street and real, and like it's like awesome to like check that out.
Photography, when I started, one of my friends put me on. It was in high school. I guess this was like kind of when the buzz of like using like film started to come back again.
Oh, yep.
And he like was just taking pictures, and I just really like caught on to it. I really liked it. I really liked how it was looking. And the way I started was borrowing one of my friend's cameras. He had a camera just like that one right there, and I was just shooting with it. He just let me freestyle, and I was just like seeing what kind of angles I like, seeing like how I was gonna shoot somebody if I were to. Like I would go out with my friends in LA, and we would just shoot. So I was just shooting homies, shooting at parties that I was going to, and then when I was like, all right, now I'm gonna make the leap to film. It was already like a month of just fucking with the camera. I moved on to film. I didn't have a job, so the way I started was like I would just kind of take all the film from like CVS, disposables, cans. I would use my homie's film camera.
Okay.
And then I was just shooting everything. And I was sitting on like boxes of film, and until I got a job, I developed it all, and I just fell in love with it. So that was like the moment I like realized, okay, photography is like the next thing I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
So that I just kept up with it, and I kept finding cameras and thrift stores, and that's kind of more like where my love for thrifting came from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
How did you learn to develop the film? I know that's not a skill that a lot of people still have nowadays.
I mean, jumping from digital to, yeah.
I didn't do it myself. I would just always go to camera stores. My local camera store, probably like the best one in the area, is Woodland Hills Camera and Telescopes. It's like right there in Topanga.
Okay.
And I went there, and that's where my friend was going. So he's like, yeah, go here. And I was going there for a bit. And that's like where like a lot of my early work was like, starting, and like where I was finding my eye and like my style, and, things I like to shoot and whatnot.
So your buddy, like, he was one of your influences, but did you have like anybody else who like you looked at for photography, like to inspire you? Like, where do you get your inspiration from?
At first when I started, I wasn't really like, I don't remember thinking too much about who inspired me until I started finding out more about it, like digging deeper into like who shoots and stuff. And Esteban, I don't know, I always butcher the last name, or Oriol or Oriol, something like that.
Okay.
But he's a LA street photographer. He just came out with a documentary a few years ago called This Is Los Angeles, and I've been knowing about him before then, but just seeing that kind of like, wrapped up a lot of like what he's done, and summed it up, and it was like super inspiring. So I remember seeing that, and seeing his work always, and just being inspired by like the rawness he captures, and that's kind of like what I look up to.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I see in your art, is like that rawness, that real, like it just feels like so candid and like authentic, like so yeah, that's really cool. I can see like where you get that from. So I mean, tell me about, you said that going to those vintage stores and like finding those cameras, like that's how you got into vintage clothing, and I know that you're a vintage reseller. So like, tell me about that story and how you got started with that.
So I would kind of always thrift here and there just to find cool stuff. I started kind of catching on that I could kind of buy this stuff and then sell it. I was coming up on pieces before like everybody was like really going crazy into it. So there was still enough for like the average person to walk in and just find something on a normal day, and be happy with it. I was kind of finding cool stuff, and then when it turned into like me doing photography, I was finding cameras, and then I was finding music, and I would always search for cool CDs, or if it was one song in the CD I liked, I would still find a way to buy it. And this is when my homie hit me up, Adrian. He hit me up too. It's the guy that I'm in business with for like the past 7 years.
Okay.
He came to me with a plan. He's like, "Yo, we can make money with this. Like, this is dope. We both love clothes. I see, because I would always post on my stories like what I'm finding, when I'm, this, I got this today, and he would see that, and he's like, "Yo, I see that you're doing it. So let's start something. Like, let's build a team. Like, let's do this." And that's how we started. We just thrifting, hitting Goodwill bins, hitting racks, searching online, eBay, Depop, however we could kind of find a T-shirt or an old item with like worth or with taste. we would find it, and then we would start our curations. We would, put everything in bins, have people pull up to my garage, we pull up to people's houses. Like,
Okay.
it was a lot of like, I guess you would call it trapping out of your bins,
Right, right.
your teas. But yeah.
You and your buddy sort of like built like your own like network kind
hmm
of like of okay, that's cool.
Yeah. And, it was also done with the help of like other people along the way. We started out with 3 people, and then that shrank that up to 2 extra people, and then now we're back to just me and him.
What is the thrift scene like in LA? Is it big here?
Yeah, it grew over the past few years, but there's always been a scene. It just wasn't as popular as it is like to this day, and it really grew in the past like year and a half, I think.
Yeah.
But there's people that have been in this game since way longer than I even knew about. Like, okay, finding cool vintage clothes is dope. I always thought it was cool looking at it, but like I never thought deeper than that. And then till I got put onto a whole like scene of people, and it's a big community for sure. Um, it's just the communities lie in the markets and in the bins, like where people are in the fields. Like, you see the same people. If you're in those, like if you're in the bins or if you're in the racks or if you are selling at the markets or shopping at the markets, it's like people recognize your face. Like, they see that you support them and they support you.
Yeah.
So it's a it has its ups and downs for sure, but it's more so like everyone's kind of looking out for each other.
Like
As
this
it
is
should
a
be.
community,
Yeah, it's a
right?
community.
Yeah.
There people who kind of do bad shit here and there, but for the most part, like it's a big friend group of people.
Yeah.
Marcus and I were talking about earlier, coming from Michigan, just how different it is, kind of the vintage scene and what vintage shopping even is like out there compared to what they have available out here in the markets.
Yeah, because where we're from, me growing up, I was embarrassed, to be honest, to find or thrift or do anything. My mom was huge on garage sales, yard sales.
hmm
I wanted to stay in the car when she like went to Goodwill. But now I have much more like appreciation to recycle things, and like there's still like value in like this like vintage like kind of gear. But yeah, the scene is like completely different out here in LA, and I kind of just want to get your insight and like how you think it's grown so much in like the last like year and a half. You say like, why is it so influential to like this sort of like melting pot of like Los Angeles?
I just think it's a new way to like shop. All these markets are like coming up, and all these events are coming up just from reselling or small businesses. During COVID, like it sparked up a lot of people to start doing this stuff because there's money in it. You just kind of have to do it right. It has its like shifts and change, and I think it's all coming to a point to where like it's about how you sell and who you are as a seller, and
Yeah.
like what you sell. Like this guy named Thrift Lord was they were interviewing him, and he had said something along the lines of that, or that specifically, that like it just depends on you, and how you do your things. It's not just like everyone's seen the same shit already, so and people do see, like, I guess there's people who will just like, oh, why would I buy an old thing that's this expensive, or some pants that are this when I can just buy new ones. So there's like certain people who think along the lines of that, or there's people who just like appreciate certain pieces for what they are, or
Yeah.
t-shirts and designs and builds of like certain clothings, jackets, pants, stuff like that.
It's a style. It's a lifestyle.
So yeah, that too, and it ties in with like sustainability and all the like good things that come with buying and reselling.
Yeah. Right.
You're not just like buying from a corporation like JCPenney.
It's earth conscious.
Yeah.
I might add too. Right. For sure.
It supports other people who are also doing work.
Mhm.
And even from a fashion standpoint, fashions come and go, but they always come back around, and what was old can be made new again. I
Exactly.
think, so.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you feel like there's more importance in your relationship with people and like connecting like as a seller than your actual items that you're selling, right? Like you mentioned, like it's about like who you buy for, like the experience you
Yeah.
offer to people.
Yeah, and what you also curate, like what you also want to sell, that also represents you as a seller, like what you're into. I'll go to many booths where there's just kind of everything, and then I'll go to booths where it's like curated, all the pants are a certain shade, different sizes, to blues, to light washes, to black denims, to green army pants, and then like you get t-shirts, sizes, years, 70s, then you have like the 90s, or like early 2000 graphics, and it's just kind of how you present yourself, as
I
a
get
seller.
you. Okay. So yeah, you're telling me that everybody's got like their own like different things. You're
Mm-hmm.
seeing some like versatility and like their arrangements, but you're seeing some people focus on like one decade or one style.
Mm-hmm.
What are you into exactly, and like what are your favorite things to like resell?
Um, More so just like t-shirts, obviously everything, t-shirts, jackets, and pants, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just really into for sure, jackets. That's like my favorite thing
Dude,
to
yeah,
collect.
same.
So it's whether it's old sports jackets, old concert jackets. Like you'd be surprised what they did, with jackets for every kind of like wrestling, basketball,
Oh,
football.
sure, yeah, yeah.
Things that are worn once.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that's never been touched, and you're like lucky to kind of be the first one to break it in. Sometimes, so a bunch of ways people can appreciate vintage, and like whether they want their stuff pristine or like they like it worn and fits better on their body, it feels
Yeah.
better on them.
Yeah, yeah. And I think there's like there's an exclusivity like element to it too, like I can remember, a few years back that I found some vintage like Jordan 1s, and they were like white with like a black gum bottom,
Mm-hmm.
had like the red wings on it,
Mm-hmm.
and like no one like knew where I got those from. They were like, "Dude, where'd you get those shoes from?" And I was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Like this is like nobody else has these shoes." So like that's something too that I think is like really special, is no one else is gonna have this right now. It's it's something that's like yours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're not walking into Foot Locker and everyone's buying like the same
Exactly.
10 pairs of shoes. You've got all these unique things that
Yeah.
are hard to find and not around anymore.
There might be the same guy with the same tee, but it's just kind of hard. Like there's a very like you don't know the limited quantity amount
Oh
of
yeah.
like that specific t-shirt, whether a lot of them got shredded up and shipped out, and there's only 100 in LA, or like there's only 20 in LA, or spread out across everywhere, because it's a community in LA, but it spreads like people travel Arizona. Like Arizona's big, Sacramento's huge, New York has a small scene, Florida's big. Like just it's growing. It's really growing. Like, and it's really spreading.
Is it hard to get into the marketplace? Like to get into these markets and stuff? Is it hard to get a spot?
No, I think you just have to have the money to put up for your booth spaces. I mean, more and more they're putting like restrictions on like you have to buy like 3 spots, like 3 spaces for each month. Like you can't just buy one, and then now they don't have somebody for this day, or this week, or I mean this month weekend. So they try to have people like pay in advance, but it's not. I don't think it's crazy hard. You just have to have the inventory for it, and the patience to get all this stuff and then sell it. And you're gonna run into your good days and your bad days, but that's what I respect about the people who do all these markets every weekend. It's they're in it, and they're working for themselves, and they're selling their own shit.
Yeah.
Is it a supportive space when you're in the market? Does it feel competitive, or is everyone kind of rooting for everybody?
Yeah, I'm pretty, like all things, there's competition, but for the most part, like it's peace. I'm pretty sure there's like little issues here and there, but at the end of the day, none of that's like that serious. So for the most part, people are supportive. They want to work with each other.
Well, you mentioned inventory, and it kind of reminded me of like when I'm DJing, like creating, finding records, finding songs, like digging for stuff. I apply that to like my preparation for like music for the saxophone. How important is preparation? Because it sounds like, for me, my library is huge. Like when I have that together, I know that I can like take on like any sort of like challenge. Like how important is that prep process for you, like when you're trying to find when you're doing like the bin thing and everything?
I don't necessarily do the bins a lot. I've done them like a pretty good handful of times, but it's not where we like live to find clothes. But when we were there, and the stories that I hear from my friends, or the things that I've witnessed that are from people that have been there for years before I even stepped foot in the bins, they know how to spot something but while it rolls by. I don't know if you know how the Goodwill bins work, but they wheel in like huge blue bins, probably the size like from that stretch of that to that.
Okay.
And it's like a big pit of clothes or whatever they decide to throw in there. There's like 4 or like 5 bins dedicated to books. There's like 4 or 5 bins dedicated to like junk, toys, shoes. There's one bin or 2 bins dedicated to just shoes and a bunch of whole mess in between. And then there's like at least 10 bins dedicated to just clothes. And they wheel by one, or like section by section. And each section has like 4, 5 bins maybe. Everyone waits around it as they come in. Nobody can touch it. Once they all get there, and then the person who's rolling them in rolls in the last one. As soon as they say go, everybody just starts.
It's just a
you
free
know.
for all.
Yeah,
Okay.
like a free for all, but like it's everyone lines up. It's a spot, like right around the bin, the perimeter of the bin. Like, people are looking at these come by, and some people are very sneaky, and they can like sneak their finger into the bin as it rolls by, and then pull out something. There's people who have gotten shit like that, and it's just like, yo, $400 to eat,
Uh-huh.
it's a good thing. It's either like some music stuff or like skateboarding. I mean, whatever people like that they geek out over. I've seen people pull it, and it's just crazy to see that. But there's like a technique to like finding clothes like that.
I get you. So quantity is important, but quality
Quality is as well.
for,
Yeah. And I mean, the bins are filled with clothes, so things used to be just a lot of T-shirts, and then more and more you would see people now curating for the women because they know it sells, but they have their own eye to curate for women that they want to sell to, or like girls that they think like, okay, this would look cool on a girl, or this is a certain style that I think is dope,
Okay.
So it's just like up to preference of like what you want to, find. You could sell some crap and pick it up and be okay with it, or you can sell something dope that, it's going to be good and, someone's going to love.
Right.
Yeah. So you go to these markets for your sales. Do you also go online? Is that something that you guys do?
eBay, Depop, Grail, just kind of in the earlier days, it was easier to find steals for shirts that are like worth $200, $250 now. But since everybody's kind of caught up to date, everyone wants to tax. Even like just everybody, like even Goodwill started their own like online thing, and Salvation started their own e-commerce section where they have 2 or 3 people working in the back and just kind of getting all the stuff that's been separated by the other people. And it's like in grades, so it would come like, this is the jewelry that's came in, or like this is the designer stuff that's came in. Take pictures of it, throw it online, and put it for a certain price.
I got you.
Usually like an expensive price, but yeah, people call it sniping. Like when they pull something off like online, they get something for cheap, and they're able to like basically kind of like capture it for themselves, So
It's a battlefield.
yeah, it is. It is a battlefield online. One thing will get posted 1 minute, and then the next 10 minutes it's gone. Refresh your screen and it's already sold.
Oh wow. So tell me a little bit about how you've been able to like combine your photography like passion with vintage clothing, because I noticed like you're not only like a reseller, but you're also like wearing the gear too. So like how have you combined those two worlds?
With photography and what I do as thrifting, the way I combined it was getting into like shooting people with the clothes on. And I was like, this is some way I could use my skill that I want to like progress and take it to a different direction other than just shooting people at a party or something like that. I would have my friend help me throw together outfits with the clothes that we collect.
Yeah.
And then we would find a model, either someone pretty that we knew or someone has cool style already that we could throw them in some clothes and they would look good in. And that's how like I tied it in, and that kind of just kept going on. That formula, we just kept kind of like running with it, and then carried it on with our other partners that we ended up being with, and they, helped us put together more shoots and do more things and reach out to more people, trying to like just kind of put ourselves in that scene. Not only do we just sell T-shirts, but we find ways and concepts to make it cool, like make it some way more palatable for you to like, oh, this is tight, And that's how I tied it in.
Are you wearing anything of your stuff today?
This is it's not really vintage. It's probably like 2000s era. It's like a Dickies jacket. I got shout out to the person I traded it with. I traded it for some other hoodie that I bought, so it's like a good trade. I actually wear this. And then some pants I bought yesterday at a night market in Downey. Shout out to Research Vintage. They're in Downey by, I don't know if you know, like the famous Raising Cane's in Downey.
Oh, tell me about it.
It was like the first one, or like the first Raising Cane's in Cali. But they're like located right there. If you ever in need of vintage clothes and you're in that LA area, hit them up. Some Anchor Blue baggy pants. I guess they're like old skater jeans.
Tell us about some of those markets, man, because I'm kind of hip to like Crossroads and like Wasteland, the ones that are like a little bit more like chains, but
And me, I've new to LA. I haven't really got to experience much of the scene. So
Well,
where do we go?
uh, so down the alley night market, DTA. So like what we do is it's a night market. So think about like a flea market with vintage sellers, or just like a Los Feliz where people are selling their own clothing brand or like selling their creation of vintage, whether it's male, female creations, or mixture of both, selling art, food. We have like bunch of food vendors lined up. The way my business partner Adrian likes to explain it, he goes a party with extra steps. You know, there's just things to do, things to see. We try to curate all our vendors, and we try to be specific with who we want there as sellers. You know, not saying like just people with big followings, but we look at your product. We look at like what you do and how you do it. So it can, we can help invite you to be a part and grow with us, in this market. A lot of people come and a lot of people love what they see from all these other vendors. And, there's a lot of people who have unique businesses and they're really cool at the end of the day. And they're really out here grinding and kind of like pushing what they love, whether they, have a job and do this. They're just hustlers all around from like all ages. We try to pull people from like all the markets and, friends basically that we've just kind of been knowing throughout the years of doing this.
What's the new one called?
It's just called Down the Alley Market.
Down the Alley.
Yeah, DTA. But the handle we have for it is just DTA, and people remember that. Like they associate it with, people say DTLA Market, but
Right.
just because that we've been in downtown LA, but originally started in Van Nuys.
Oh, okay.
We did the first 3 in Van Nuys, and they were at like a movie warehouse, and it was like enough space to house like at least 120 vendors.
Mm-hmm.
So we started out kind of smaller, but the first one we threw was a success. We didn't think we had all this, support from all these people that had support from their own folks. And, we just started with a bunch of our friends. And from that, it grew to other people knowing and other people seeing how they were going in their turnouts and just the overall feel of the market.
Mm-hmm.
And then other people started to catch on and be like, what's this? And that just brought more and more people. And now we have like a strong foundation that we're just trying to continue and make more moves this year. So when you guys go, I got you guys with some drinks from
Nice.
We're definitely gonna come check it out.
From our bartenders, Mitchy Chewy. Shout out Mitchy Chewy.
Nice.
So you talked about how you've kind of taken your photography and the vintage clothing and kind of combined those two things. Is there any like particular areas or settings in LA that really inspire you that you like to photograph in?
Downtown LA, I feel like, it's a breakaway from here. And there's just a lot of like more graffiti, more like raw, whether it's like transient or just people who have shacked up their houses and it's like a complete mess, or, it's just like either the chaos in the city or, the peaceful beauty of what comes from destruction that leaves, like whether it's like an abandoned space and there's just stuff in it and flowers have grown through all this mess and, and grass is green as ever, and, I just try to, I don't know how to explain it. What I've been doing lately is I'll get off on a certain bus stop. I don't have a car, so I'll get off on a certain bus stop. I'll find a scooter and then I'll take the scooter and just pay like 30 minutes worth of time or an hour worth of time. And then I'll just take it and just go like all these little streets of LA, these little cuts and corners. And as I'm riding by, I'm just looking like left and to my right. Am I seeing anything? Is there something that catches my eye? As soon as I do, I take a second or two to say, should I stop here or should I pull over somewhere? And I just push the brakes and just park it up and then just go to where I'm seeing. If I see something that I thought I saw like while scootering, take a picture and get back on and keep going.
Yeah.
Maybe I went this route already, so let me make this right. Let me make this left. All right, the goal is to get to LA or the goal is to get to the bridge. Where can I take the most obscure route and still get to the bridge? Like different than when I took.
So you're always looking for new routes and new places.
And you never know like what's around the corner. And thank God I've been safe all this time, but still like going around. Just last night I took photos with a graffiti writer named Hopes, and the other one, his name is Acre, and they invited me to hang out, watch them paint, and just kind of see how they get down in their process. These are like legends of like LA that paint, and it was just cool to be in the presence of like seeing them and how they do their work. I'm not sure if you've seen the words Hopes on the freeways.
I've seen that around, yeah.
Big rolling. It's basically like a roller, and it's just blocked Hopes. That's what I was with. And
So yeah, you taking these different these routes and like avenues,
Mhm.
like as you're trying to like be inspired, like one thing just kind of like leads you to another. Like do you ever feel like you're missing out on something, or is this kind of just your artistic process, like
Um,
to venture out and explore?
I do sometimes. I do feel like I'm missing out on stuff, and that's why like I'm trying to get more in it. Um, I had a lot of like things holding me back, whether it was in my own head or like were few people in my life or what I was giving my time and energy to. So more so now this year and a bit of the last year, I've been trying to really just put my foot out and just start shooting whatever and whenever. That was like one of the things I felt like I was missing graffiti culture, and I wanted to like dive into that and dabble into maybe even doing writing myself. But I wanted to capture that,
Yeah.
it's history. You got to document it, and that's what I want to do, is document people's work.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to somebody who's maybe like doing photography or, digital and not sure about film, or maybe someone who's thinking about like developing another trade, but they want to work on this one first. Like it sounds like both of your trades, like photography and art, your vision for vintage have kind of like come together like at the same time. Like what advice can you give to somebody who's like a little bit timid to like step in like two directions at once?
I just say do it. Just, best always say best foot forward. If you really love doing this, do it. If you don't, and if you're gonna complain about this and that, about, it costs money to do all this stuff, and it costs your time and dedication to like, you rather be here or you rather be there, choosing what you love to do, so whatever you're gonna do it to your fullest, or try your best to do it to your fullest. People who want to do multiple things at once they should, it's about working and doing as much as you can, but also there's also a saying that like, the master of many is like the master of none or something like that.
Mm.
So, find your things that you love to do and just stick to it.
Who are some of your influences? Like, who do you look up to? I know that you mentioned like a few people by name, but do you have anybody else for photography or for art? You mentioned the guys that you were like hanging out with before.
Just one of my close friends, my boy Adrian. I think he's my business partner, but and my friend. But he inspires me the most because he just does it. He doesn't find an excuse. It's kind of like I look back to it and I'm just thinking like, what would he tell me, or like, well, how would I like if I'm not doing this, like I got to do this shit, and that's the most inspiration I can get, is just get off your ass and do it. Whether his criticism is like meant to make you feel good or bad or however, it's always real. So I'm inspired by him.
Nice. Yeah, I mean that's what we're trying to like do here with Indie LA, is sort of like build a network of like inspiration, like collaboration, putting people on to different artists and different things, because you can have a lot of like artists that you like look up to, but there's nothing more real, nothing more important, I think, than your close friends and like family, like the people who are like there with you like in your life. Like that's really important to like develop those relationships for sure.
There's so many things like that cross over. Like you're using your photography, and it's taking you in a different direction with your vintage clothing, and
Yeah.
everyone has all these different skills and talents, and they really do cross over. There's so much room for collaboration.
Yeah, there's many of times where me and my boy Adrian have gone gigs together just because I don't have a car again, so I roll with him everywhere. Whether it's an event, because we're both interested in going, because we're both interested in making connections with these people, and ultimately just become our friends, just because they're cool people, to be around, and we don't like to present ourselves as weird, so we like to get along with a lot of people, and provide opportunities where they provide opportunities for us. It's like, you help us out, we help you out. They helped us out, and we're gonna return the favor. It's about taking care of people that take care of you as well.
Yeah. So that opportunity is like the most important thing, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Opens up a lot of doors for sure. So Mike, tell me about like some other projects or like avenues, like things that you're working on, you're looking forward to.
One thing I recently started a few months ago, aside from me and my boy Adrian, I partnered up with one of my homies. He goes by Alticut. He started this brand called Snipe, and he was doing some stuff for it already. And then he asked me to be a part of it and be a part of like this process of helping him create these issues in magazines. So if you don't know, Snipe is my brand with my homie. We are a X-rated skateboarding magazine clothing brand. We're dabbling in making clothes. We're dabbling in making issues. getting people exposure, as well as just building a community of people, whether it's creative, building a team of writers, artists, to really push this and make something for the culture, make something for the scene. And it's not just, skaters, but it's, everyone who wants to kind of just read in, laugh, remind, some nostalgic feeling, but also something where it's like hood, skate, women kind of thing. Like I
Okay.
said, X-rated skateboarding magazines.
All right.
Where can we check that out?
Yeah, Snipe Los Angeles is a handle. It's in my bio on film.org. Or you can just look up Snipe Los Angeles on Instagram, and you'll see it. We already have like 4 issues out. Stay tuned for a launch party. It's going to be a video release, sweaters, hoodies, hopefully pants, skate decks, and physical magazines with like 6 issues in one book. So
Nice.
That's awesome.
we're trying to, get something popping for the summer. People want to party. We're going to make it a thing. So it's going to be like a gallery premiere party, it's just going to be a vibe. Oh, and then, there's that. And then another thing I'm starting as well with my partner, Adrian, and my other friend, Alan. We're going to open an art gallery in Sherman Oaks, hopefully. Fingers crossed, everything goes well with the spot and we obtain it. But opening an art gallery, so, opportunities for people and artists and whoever want to rent out the space to, as a platform, feel free to do it. We'll be curating shows, and it would also double as a art store during the day. So selling art supplies, graph, painters, people who draw, kind of all mediums, even, shooting as far as film, come by and get your film there, spray cans,
Oh, cool.
just a bunch of stuff, just
Yeah.
kind of a bunch of stuff. It's a creative house, turning our old spot and just flipping it into something else.
Sweet. Well, man, a lot of exciting projects coming up for you then. Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna want to go check those out.
Well, where do the people find you so they can find those projects?
They can find me on Instagram or Twitter at film.org, FILMDOTORG. All the stuff is in my bio. DTA Market, if you want to look at that up, Snipe Los Angeles. And Garage Space LA, or Garage Space is what the art store is going to be called. So we have like a dummy account for it, just to kind of have an account, but feel free to follow if you want to.
Dope, man. Well, yeah, we're really looking forward to all of those projects, and definitely like the market. Your art gallery show sounds awesome, and dude, we can't wait to see it.
All right, thank you.
Thanks so much for coming.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.